Chris, it has been a while. We are finally back in the swing of things. Um, Hope you've been well. We've been doing a lot of talking. Um, I am very excited about this podcast. We have a lot to go over, a lot of stuff that we have talked about. And if you stay tuned at the end and you're visually on here, we are going to fuck around with some stuff and hopefully show you some of gameplay in Tabletop Simulator. But we have a lot to go over. We know that we've missed a bunch. We will get into that. Any quick words before I roll the intro?
Let's get it started.
Damn, here it comes. That was exciting, huh? Cool, man.
More exciting than like a Marvel intro.
Almost more exciting.
Almost.
Where to start, man? It has been a lot. Yeah, I mean, I guess let's see. The last time we talked, we got into different types of cards. We were talking about possibly getting things ready to play test. We did quite a few playthroughs. What else? What else did we do?
I mean, I think the last time we did a cast, we were deep into understanding the card dynamics and the mechanics. And I think the thing that we accomplished really most was just playing the game, as you said, and identifying different card types that weren't quite working, ones that were working, and pretty exciting that we're deep in playtesting mode, and that it looks like we may have found an initial way to play the game after several rounds. So that's super exciting, because above all else, we talked about the art. Last cast we talked about the business side of things, which obviously is very complex, but at the end of the day you want to finalize product that people can enjoy. So I think we're one step closer to defining that. So that's where I think a lot of our work was put in, and then Jason putting together all of this through Tabletop Simulator, which is pretty badass, and hopefully we'll be able to get to show that to you as a way to use it in this remote world, whether you can't meet your friends or business partners if you're someone who's creating a game through social distancing, or anyone around the world can use this to play test. So super excited about that, man. We got a lot of shit done.
Yeah, I think let's be honest, we haven't really done a podcast because there's just a lot more important shit happening right now. Frankly, there's just a lot of uncertainty happening, a lot of bullshit, a lot of things that are really just kind of like above what any of us just really thinking about. Should we cast or should we not? I think we made the right decision. Just kind of paused on it a little bit.
There's more things important than making cards, right? And making games. But I think it's things are still happening and evolving in the world that are much greater importance than anything that we're doing here today on the cast. But we thought, hey, let's get back on the horse and continue to provide everyone with updates. And at the end of the day, we want to get this shit done, because we want to create this this game for people to play. And it's our passion too. It's our hobby. It takes away our focus on other things.
Yeah. So let's find a point and get into it.
Yeah.
I think we should talk a little bit about what we found out with the type of cards. If you kind of want to start that conversation, I'm gonna grab my drink real quick. So if you want to just kind of talk a little bit about what we found out with the card
Yeah.
types.
Yep. So, initially when we created the the game itself, we wanted some dynamics around obviously the dragons, and stacking the dragons is the ultimate objective. And then you had your attack cards, you had your defense cards, the castle cards, and then we had this dynamic called the hidden card, which you would place face down. And we thought it would be some interesting ways of like risking your play and your opponent not fully understanding what you may be playing on that turn. After multiple rounds, the castle cards worked, the attack cards worked, the defense cards worked, hidden cards didn't work so well, and so we felt that those needed to change a bit and pivot to something that would be more kind of action based. The other thing we discovered through this play is, if anybody that recalls, we wanted to draw 2 cards at the end of your turn. And through discovery and gameplay, it was decided to pivot towards actually drawing cards before your turn begins. And then we upped the amount of cards to 3. We felt like that would create a more faster paced game, and determined that it's much better to front load your hand, the ability to play those cards before your turn than after. And then last thing we created is removal of those hidden cards, and now we have some instant cards and instant defense cards, which is pretty cool. So that creates another element in the game that Jason and I played through, and we thought it was pretty fun to be able to incorporate that. Those are some of those large tweaks we made through testing that heading into it we didn't know if we were going to do or not. So that in itself, I think, has shaped the game really nicely to where we're at today.
Yeah. It was interesting because we, obviously we didn't cast, but we've been talking nonstop. But we really just, it was like, I think we were super excited to just create it, right? And then it was like, how do you add this factor, and what about this factor and that factor? And we stepped back and we looked and we kind of went back to our notes, and we were like, okay, these were the important pieces that we need for the game. It needs to be fun. It needs to be simple. It needs to be easy to learn. And when you talk about like, okay, hidden cards, and then they flip them over if they do this and then that, and it was just like, that wasn't really an aspect of the game that was fun to play, and we tried it. I mean, we tried for a while, and it was just like, it caused too much pause in the game. And I think that that's one of the things that's super important about when you're developing a game, to, before you get gung-ho and like go crazy on like, okay, this is the game we want, let's do the art, let's do the card design. You have to really play through, right? Because it's interesting. When we were talking about like, okay, we think this is it, let's design the cards, like in my brain I was like, okay, cool, like the card design has to tell the same story, has to be easy to compel the story, right? In terms of like being able to look down and see what the card is, understand what you're gonna play. There's obviously like a little bit of reading on that, but I was really excited when we decided to turn the hidden cards into like instant cards, because I think that the ability to instantly play a card, right? I think that that's something that, Chris, at least you and I both have experience doing, whether it's like Magic or Hearthstone or whatever it is. It's a mechanic that has become kind of like a norm inside of card games. So it made sense for it to just naturally turn into that.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. You think you have it figured out in your head, but things change so fast when you're actually playing the game in itself. Like part of the things that we stuck to in the very beginning of designing and concept was, first off, again, going back to those core principles, is can it be easily understood? And I think the hidden cards, other than not working dynamic wise, I think it's a little too confusing as well. So removing that layer. Two, is it fun? I think at first it was like very slow paced, not a lot of happenings. I think first couple of rounds we had like 1 or 2 dragons, and we were trying to get, like, the goal is to get 10. Timing, could you pick it up and play anywhere from 15, 25 minutes, like 30 minutes max? And I think the average time based on multiple rounds was around just under 20 minutes, which is ballpark we want to be. So all of those learns were very helpful. And I think at this stage we've added the correct amount of cards that we thought would be beneficial to gameplay. And so that's kind of where we're at now. The other thing we wanted to do too is to make it simplified. So nobody on the cast or watching has seen the prototype of online tabletop simulator, but we had all white cards, and Jason has gone in and color coded them a little bit differently to make it easier for us to follow along of how things are happening on the board. So a lot of those things, a lot of learns. I'll tell you what, I like to say it's fun. Some of it wasn't fun, right? Like admitting that your initial concept might have been shit, and so you're like, I got to go rethink these cards, or like change the wording on these cards. So I think we're at a stage now where we feel really comfortable in moving forward.
Yeah. So if you, so we did a lot of cleanup. We decided to move to color coded card type. That doesn't mean the whole card is color coded, but it's just so that it's easier when you're looking at it. We went dragons being purple, attack being blue, defense orange, instant cards are yellow, and then castle cards are red. In that, we actually turned out that we took a lot of cards that we initially talked about in like the round 1.5 episode, and in between, a lot of the cards we talked about, whether they were attack, castle, defense, a lot of those actually turned into instant cards because it just ended up playing really well.
Yeah. I mean, quite honestly, I think maybe we run through it, maybe play a round or two, or at least a round to kind of show. It's hard to explain the dynamics, but I think we definitely should on the cast today. For those of you who can watch, who are not following just on the podcast, kind of take a look. I think it pulls everything together. Like everything we've done over the past several casts and streams have been just through, Dropbox and paper, and now we want to really put it to action. I think once you see that, if you have an opportunity to follow along live or video on demand, I think it's really going to make sense and pull what we've been talking about over the past couple of weeks all together on what it looks like on the table.
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit also. Obviously this is a game that we want to make, that we want to have funded, kind of put out there. And so really quick, I want to kind of talk a little bit around, because Chris, you and I haven't actually talked about it. What our idea would be, and then I'll probably add notes. We don't really need to show the notes, but I want to write them. But kind of like what's our idea? Like if we wanted to walk away from this and feel good about, is it Kickstarter? Is it something outside of that? What does that look like to you? And then if it's Kickstarter, what does that look like?
Yeah, it's a good question. I definitely think, Kickstarter seems to be the most popular of choices, and obviously, as we've talked about previously, experience with unicorns and zombies on that front. So I think putting it on Kickstarter is a really good start. The question becomes what the incentives are and what the price point becomes. I think once we land on a specific price point, we talked a little bit about like the business side of things and doing it for fun, but also realizing that you got to make money because it's not charity. Um, but once we establish a price point, like what kind of tiers do we want of the game, right? Like what do we want special editions? How do we want funders to interact with this? And there is a variety of different things that have been done in the past. I do think there's some elements we can include, but I think it really narrows down to like what the complete game will look like, in my opinion. But I think Kickstarter is the way to go, and I think we should do some cool shit. I mean, some brainstorming around it, but I think definitely we want to get people hyped around it. I know that you and I just briefly talked offline about, and this is not solidified, but through Kickstarter campaign, how cool would it be? Like, we haven't named any of these dragons. Wonder if you fund a certain X amount and you get to name the dragon.
Yeah.
That's one idea. I don't know if that will stick, but something like that that's unique and interactive and allows people who really are excited about this game to have more involvement.
Yeah. Just like with unicorns and zombies, the one thing that I do want to make sure that everyone knows kind of going into this is this is a community driven game, right? And it will be like after the fact, down the road, everything's working, it's funded, is what it is. Like it'll definitely be like community driven. And I do love the idea of, hey, if you fund X amount, you can name one of the dragons. And then maybe we're still deciding, like, are these cards, do these continue the path that we do with unicorns and zombies, where we have like the backstory, some kind of like witty thing on there for the dragons, right? Like, we don't really need it for the fireballs or anything else, but like for the dragons, do they tell the story, right? And so maybe that's something that we can do. I think we're getting really close, which is surprising considering knowing how long it took me to design unicorns and zombies. I feel like once you design your first game, you've gotten over this like mental block of like, I can't, right? Or I don't know how. And it's interesting because, Chris, you coming from like a background of like comics and script writing and stuff like that, like just like working with you and like the type of like interactions you and I have, I really feel like it keeps the creativity going. And it's like, man, I just look back on the development of unicorns and zombies, and it's like, man, it would have been done so much faster if like that existed. Where do you think that you get a lot of, when you're putting yourself into the zone of like working on this game and thinking of like how you came up with the idea for like, what if it's like war, right, or whatever, like what do you do typically to put yourself in a mindset to be that creative?
It's a lot of other creators, man. It's just no distractions, right? I think that's the most important thing. I think we all, every person who is involved in some type of creative way of creating new content, whether it be paintings or script writing or card games, at the end of the day, you just got to put yourself in that mindset and have like completely no distractions. I think like at the end of the day, all the things that you've watched over time, that you've taken in as a child up and through today, like all of the pop culture elements, all the games you've played, at some point in time, those influence your thinking, whether or not that directly influences or somehow shapes the way you think about different things. And I think when it came to this game, obviously we love fantasy stuff, like dragons are badass. If you don't like dragons, I don't know what to tell you. It's
You got
pretty
problems.
badass. You know what I mean? Like I'll watch pretty much anything with dragons, even if it sucks, right? So, and again, going back to the how could we create something cool, but also in a way where it was like super, kind of zany, and it fits within the art of like what both you and I enjoy. I think it was an opportunity for your art to shine through, and creating these initial concepts I think are cool. So at the end of the day, when it comes to creating the game itself, you and I have talked about it. Put yourself in the mindset of somebody who knows nothing about the game, and could they pick it up and learn it quickly?
Yeah.
That's the hardest part, right? Like we have spent a lot of time on this, the evolution of the game. We know the rules or the change of rules in the back of our mind. But if I gave this deck to one of my friends or family members, could they learn it and play and understand it and have fun? That's the hardest thing to do. And if they don't get it, we're in trouble. And we're going to be doing some of those testing too. Outside of our play testing, the next thing is external play testing, which is cool. And I do want to mention, for those people who have been following along from the very beginnings, or even people that are jumping on and listening to the podcast or the stream, if you have any interest, since we're ramping this thing up and we're relatively unknown, on the streaming side of things. Obviously Jason's got his thing outside of Board to Dev, but if you're interested in playtesting, drop us a line, drop us a note in the chat, man. We'd love to have you participate. If one of the obviously some NDAs involved, but at the end of the day, we'd love to have you play test. We use friends and family, but we're willing to also include our users who've been following us along the way. That'd be really cool to get some honest feedback.
Yeah, and what I really like about the next phase of basically playtesting is we can do a lot of it through Tabletop Simulator, but there's a point where we're gonna produce printed copies, and those ones are not completed. Obviously, they're testing modes, but we still have a lot of work to do on the art before we get to that. But a lot of the playtesting that we'll probably invite you to is going to be done on Tabletop Simulator. So make sure that you know how to access that or don't. We'll also, in the Unicorns and Zombies Discord, there'll be a channel for Stacking Dragons, so you can join that. We might end up making its own Discord channel, but I'm not sure yet. We'll have that information for you during the next cast, but that's where you'll go and be able to like participate in. Yeah, I think talking a little bit about production and what that looks like. We right now the game, I think we have it at 70 cards total. Is last count I think I had. And the production piece, when we get closer, it's interesting that actually is going to account for probably like 5 months of the game. So and that's deciding like the color of the art and stuff like that. I really think there's a little bit more for us to go. I am excited to get that playtesting done with people outside of like our friends and family, because you do get a little bit more honest feedback. It's like the people that I know that are the most successful are the ones where their mom told them like, no, you're not good at that, try something else. But then when they were good, their moms were like, yeah, that's great, you should continue that, right? And it's kind of the same thing when you're working on stuff. It's like I don't know if it's just a fear of wanting to hurt your friend's feeling, but I'm like I honestly just want the real stuff,
Yep. 100%, man. Real honest feedback is, you have to get that. You have to source that out.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way you're going to get better. You're only going to finalize and get the product to a point where you need to be. So 100%, that's part of anybody who's looking to create a game. you need multiple channels of feedback to finalize what is to be
Yeah.
your product.
So I think we can. I think we could probably go into one of the games if you want to do that. We just
Yeah, let's
gotta
jump
load
in.
everything. So we'll just keep talking to you guys while we're loading this. Um,
Yeah.
Chris,
Yep.
if you want to launch Tabletop Simulator, I'm gonna get it going.
Tabletop Simulator. So for those of you who are interested in this, so Tabletop Simulator is, I don't know what's the price on it.
20.
$20 and you get it on Steam, which allows you to download it, and you could play not just what ones you create, but you also get to play it like other people's games too. It's pretty badass.
Yeah. All right. So what I'm doing right now, and then we'll probably do maybe I'll do some kind of like cast or something, um, for people that uh, don't have this. But I might do a cast on how to actually build your own game for this. So I'm gonna
That's cool.
create a server, and then let's see if we can invite you. Send you an invite.
You got it, dude.
You got it, dude.
I feel like I want to say that like Duke Nukem would say. You got it, dude.
You got it, Brobocop.
Dun,
Oh, so let me do the overhead view of this. So this is what the game kind of looks like. Did you get the invite?
I did. I'm going to join your game now. Boom.
Tabletop Simulator makes it a lot cheaper to prototype games. That's all I'm saying. Because when I was doing this with Unicorns and Zombies, it was like paper and then writing on it, and this I'm like, man, there's like no mess. Already have basically something going. So what we're gonna do, because we do know that this is a audio podcast / video podcast, is we will talk through what we're doing right now on this board. This blue stack of cards is the cards we're going to be using, Chris. The white stack here is for reference. I think I pretty much got it right, but we should be good. So we want to kind of talk a little bit about this mat. So right here on the mat, and I'll zoom in on here. So this is the Stacking Dragons mat for now. It may change, and you basically stack your dragons when you pull them over from left to right. If you complete a row, it's locked in, cannot be touched. Cards do not affect them. You have 5 points. These other spots here are for like your defense cards you're putting on your castle, something like that. So with that being said, we are actually going to get into a game, and I'm doing overhead view because I think that this is just the better way to view it.
Yeah.
So
and to remind everybody, especially any new audience that's listening or viewing, the objective is the game is to stack 10 dragons from your hand onto the mat. The player that reaches the 10 dragon count first wins the game. As Jason pointed out, as soon as you get to 5 dragons on the first level, that's like if you would a safe or a checkpoint where those dragons cannot be attacked. But obviously then it shifts to the top 5 in which the opponent can attack. So the objective is to get to 10, but your first objective is to get to 5. As soon as you get to 5, that's the kind of your checkpoint to and your 50% there until you are able to complete the game. So, as we talked about earlier in the cast, we've switched it to where now, before your turn, you're drawing 3 cards
Yes.
each turn.
And the first time you go, because it's your first turn, you don't. So we'll have Chris go first. But after he goes, when it's my turn, I don't draw 3. You have to go 1 full round before you draw your cards. So Chris drew 3. Now I'm gonna draw 3. Chris, I hope you like the graphics. A little bit easier to see.
Yeah.
Chris gets to cheat because he gets to watch my screen on Twitch.
I'm not watching, I promise.
Okay, don't watch.
So I will go first.
Okay.
And I'm going to play a castle card on your first spot. As a reminder, the castle card is a blocker. So the opponent cannot play any dragons on the mat unless Jason removes the castle on his turn. That castle is only played for 1 turn or 1 round. So at the end of Jason's turn, that will be removed at the beginning of my turn. So only 1 round. So Jason cannot play any dragons unless he removes that castle. Otherwise, he has to wait until his next turn. I am not going to play any more cards, and I pass it to you.
Okay, cool. So again, I'm not drawing because I have already drawn my 3 cards. So with your castle card, I will introduce to you a castle card as well. And that is it for me. So at the end of my turn, I do what's called upkeep. So I would basically just remove cards that Chris had on my board. So that's the one thing that you have to do is, like, if someone plays a card, when it, like a castle card, when it gets back to their turn, you clean that up off your own board. So that's just something for you to remember. So now, it's Chris's turn. He's gonna draw 3 new cards.
Okay, I've just drawn 3. Jason has played a castle card, so I cannot play a dragon card. So that prevents me from doing anything. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a defense card. And the defense card is Catapult Attack. Choose an opponent, and they skip next turn. So I'm going to use that, and so Jason will have to skip his turn.
Perfect. This is good.
Okay. So it's Jason's turn. Obviously, it's skipped.
But
he will not be able to
you have to take the
draw any cards. Yep. So I'm going to remove this castle now. Back to my turn. And this Catapult Attack goes away as well. So now I have a clear mat, and I'm going to play my first dragon in my hand.
Nice.
Now I'm going to then play another castle card on Jason's mat, preventing him from playing any dragons unless he can remove the castle. So, and you know what? I forgot. I didn't draw 3 on my turn, so I'm going to do that. See, again.
So should I let you do it, or do you skip it?
No, you got to let me do it. Sorry, buddy.
That's not. Oh, we're just making rules up, huh? Oh, because you want to play another dragon card. I get it.
Yep. So I'm going to play a second dragon.
So while Chris is figuring out his hand, it is important to notate that we played through probably 15 or 20 of these, and we decided that it actually is, as weird as it sounds, it's actually pretty smooth if you were to draw like 3 dragons. We just decided there's no limit to how many dragons you can play, because that really sped up the game, and it was just kind of this like back and forth bullshit of like, okay, I'm going to leave this castle, and then we realized there wasn't really like a lot of moving. So I think the first round that we played when we were playing this was like almost 40 minutes, and we're like, we need to stop. We need to change it.
Yeah.
And then we were playing it, and we were like, okay, what did this card do again? So we had to reference, because we didn't update the cards on this. We had to we had to reference like, okay, here's what we wrote in Dropbox. Like this is what the card does. So now we're actually playing the game with the updated cards, visuals, and so far it's pretty easy to see what's in your hand. I think.
Yep.
Okay, so
100%.
is it your
So
turn?
on the mat currently, it's the end of my turn. I have 2 dragons on my mat. Jason has 0 dragons. He has 1 castle card that is now being removed, and he has a clear mat, and it is now his turn.
All right, I'm gonna draw my 3. All right, I'm gonna play 2 dragons.
Okay, so I'm gonna play an instant card for you.
Okay.
Dragon's Bluff. If opponent played any dragons this round, bounce them back to their hand, and you must discard a card.
Okay.
So Jason attempted to play 2 dragons. I played an instant card from my hand, so now he has to return those back, and he has to discard, forcing him to discard 1 card. I'm gonna put that back into discard.
Okay. And so this is what's great about playtesting is Chris totally misplayed that because it's still my turn, so I can play the dragons again. And he should have waited until I said it was the end of my turn. So I'm gonna play these again.
Well, that's the thing. How do we want to approach that? Does an instant card need to be played at the end when you say my turn is done, or does it play instantly after you place the dragon?
No. I think an instant card. But the way that we wrote the instant cards, right, is that we have some that take effect right away, and the instant card is just a card that allows you to play not on your turn. So like you could have held back and held that card back, and then when I said okay, that's it, like before my turn, I'm gonna play this, throw all the dragons back, and then that would have screwed me up for the next round. But you can also you could also play it the same way you played it. It just is like, okay, well, it wasn't done, so I can play my dragons again and then do that. So this is where we can talk a little bit around, like, okay, so is it that once you play dragons, see, because you can't say once you play dragons you can't play them again, because that's just not, that wouldn't work, right? But that instant card is more for me saying like, dude, I put all these dragons out, like I'm winning, and then you're like, cool, before my turn I'm gonna play this. They all go back to my hand, and then maybe I used my other cards, so now I have to take that dragon and discard one of them, so I'm actually down a dragon. So the card has two effects, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So and we could try playing it the other way later too if you want.
I think maybe in the instructions we indicate we should clarify instant play.
Yeah.
To make it, especially for anybody who hasn't played a deck builder or any card game that has instant cards, because not a lot of the mass market like fun game cards have instant. So we're introducing something that's typically found in like more competitive actions. So I think we should make it clear for people who don't have as much experience.
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna keep going.
Okay.
I will do flaming arrows. This card says, and guys, just so you see, if you see it on Twitch or you want to go back and watch this, I am enlarging the cards so that you can see them. Flaming arrows is a defense card. Opponents cannot play dragons this round. So that means that Chris, throughout this whole next round, can't play any dragons. He can still affect my board. Right now it's 2-2. And it'll stay that way unless he removes one of my dragons, but he cannot play dragons. I pass to you, sir.
All right. So at the stage, Jason has 2 dragons. I have 2 dragons on the mat, and I cannot play any dragons based on that defense card he's played. However, we need this is a perfect opportunity for us to figure out what this would do. So this is Dragon Magic, which is an attack card. So Dragon Magic says select a dragon's opponent stack from their stack and add it to your stack. If you have a castle card, place card into your hand. So you say for this defense card, Flaming Arrows,
But
to not play dragons.
the card takes that over, so you can
Right.
can play it.
So we should, again, that's something we need to make clear.
Yeah, we'll just in there we'll just add like card rules overwrite other rules.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to take one dragon off your stack, and I'm going to place it on my stack.
Yeah, and we'll come back to that and decide. But yeah, I think that the card rule it allows you to move it because you're not playing it, you're taking it.
Right.
Yeah,
I agree.
So that's it.
And then I'm going to play a castle
Perfect.
card.
This is fucking fantastic.
And okay, so that is the end of my turn. So at the end of my turn, I have 3 dragons on the mat. Jason has 1 dragon, but he has a castle card in his second slot, which means that his turn at this point, he'll need to remove that castle to play the dragon. And then Flaming Arrow upkeep will need to go away as that impacted my hand last round.
All right, so I just drew 3 cards. All right. Oh, I can't get anything around there, so what I'll do is I'll play Dragon Flames.
Okay.
Sorry, not Dragon Flames. I grabbed the wrong one. Yeah, it is Dragon Flames. Okay. Dragon Flames is an attack card that removes the top 2 dragons from his stack. So I'll play that. He removes the top 2 dragons. This card goes here. And then we decided we talked a little bit. You can or cannot play an attack and a defense. No, right? You could play a dragon, a castle, an attack or defense, and an instant.
I think you could play an attack and a defense.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Cool. I will play Arrows of Might to reduce your stack by 1 dragon.
Okay. So I think we should look at Arrows of Might because that seems like more of an attack action than a defense.
Okay. Yeah, I think we might have probably. I think we did that. I think there was something else in there, but I couldn't find it in the notes, so we will go back and look. But current board state is Chris now has 0 dragons. I have a castle and a dragon. It is back to Chris, and I will move his castle so I can play dragons this round.
Okay. I drew 3 cards. I'm going to play 1 dragon, 2 dragon, and 3 dragon on my mat. I am going to play a Dragon Punch attack card. So remove top dragon from opponent's stack. And I am done with my turn. So current status, 3 dragons on my mat. Jason has 0 cards in play, 0 dragons, but it is his turn.
All right. Draw 3. Play 1 dragon. I'll play another dragon. I'll play Dragon Tail Whip and my defense card. So Dragon Tail Whip, I remove top dragon from your stack.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go. My Shield of Orion is opponent cannot attack dragon stack for 1 turn. So he can't attack it, meaning he can't remove any dragons, but he can play a castle card. So if he had one of these cards that's a castle, he could play it. And I'm playing a castle on his deck. So it is now Chris's turn.
All right. Gonna draw 3 cards. So I'm going to.
What the instant cards have done to the game is they've given you like a different mindset and ability to figure out like, okay, when is the best time to use this card, right? So if you have one holding on to it, like if I was gonna lay down 5 dragons, and let's say that I did lay down 3 more dragons to complete my space. If my turn isn't over, those aren't locked in. So where that card that Chris had a while ago, Dragon's Bluff, is good, is that if I was completing like a final row, say like I laid down 3 dragons, and I was like, okay, that's my turn. And he said, well, before the end of your turn, I'm going to play Dragon's Bluff. Then I would have had to take all 3 of those dragons back. They wouldn't have been safe just when I thought that I was going to lock it in, right? So you really start with the instant cards. It really starts to make you like have to really think strategically, right? And that's kind of what we're going for. And it's super simple. It's nothing complicated, right?
Right. Well, I'm not going to play any other cards this turn, so I'm going to remove the castle as upkeep, preventing me from playing dragons on my last turn, and you will remove the defense card from yours. And at this stage, Jason's turn, 2 dragons apiece, no other cards in play.
All right, I will play another dragon, and then that is it for me.
Okay. I'm going to draw 3 cards. I'm going to play 1 dragon, 2 dragon, 3 dragon.
Look at that. Locking it in.
So I have 5 dragons on my bottom row, which means that all of those dragons on that row are now safe, and I have reached the halfway checkpoint.
Only if you say it's the end of your turn.
Jason cannot attack those dragons. I'm going to play another dragon up top.
Oh, that's good.
And 1 more.
Okay, perfect. This is real good.
So strategy is that I've been hoarding these dragons in my hand. And again, going back to, will your opponent attack or come out aggressive initially? Do you want to play your dragons right away? Because that could impact you as far as like if the opponent has a bunch of attack cards or instant cards. The flip side to that is if you're too conservative, then your opponent may have a bunch of dragons and then get to a stage where you can't catch up. So in this case, it's kind of worked out thus far, but we'll see how everything plays out.
Oh yeah, we will.
I'm now going to play an attack card, Flaming Spear, which is remove dragon from any opponent's stack.
Okay, and I'll play Dragon Sneak. If opponent attacks, draw 2 additional cards from the draw pile. So you remove this one.
Yep. So 1 dragon goes back in discard, but you get 2 cards.
Yep.
And wait. Hold on. Put those cards back.
Ah, shit.
Oh, it's a dragon. Nice. Because I'm going to play Dragon's Breath, which is block any action from an instant card.
All right. So that's I'm going to reshuffle this.
So again, what just happened was,
let's bring it out.
I attacked Jason's dragon with an attack card on my turn. He played an instant card,
which was if opponent attacks, draw 2 additional cards from the draw pile. And then Chris, you did what?
I played Dragon's Breath, which is another instant card that blocks any action from an opponent's instant card. So I basically denied Jason's 2-card draw.
Yep, that's it. All right. So I'll put my dragon here. This one here.
So it is the end of my turn.
Well, it's still. Yeah, it is.
Yes, at this stage, I've got a protected bottom row of 5 dragons, 2 dragons on the top row of a total of 7. Jason has 2 cards on his mat, no additional cards in play, and it is his turn.
Thanks for that round. That was good, I really...
Yeah. Not frustrating at all.
No. I'm going to play 1 dragon, 2 dragons, and then I'm going to play Shield of Orion. So Shield of Orion, again, is opponent cannot attack dragon stack for 1 turn. So that'll go out there. And then, yeah, I think that's it. I'm good.
Okay. Gonna draw 3 cards. 1 dragon. 2 dragon. Now I have 9 dragons. I'm going to play a castle on your stack.
And then, real quick, just so everyone knows, he can play that because he's not attacking. He's not attacking my stack. So that's important to know. He's blocking it. Not he can't remove anything from it. He can block though.
So I am finished.
Mm-hmm.
It is your turn. So again, 9 dragons in play, 1 away from victory on my mat. Jason has 4 dragons, 1 castle preventing him from playing any dragons unless he removes it. And then the Shield of Orion defense is now upkeep and back in discard.
I'm gonna play Dragon Fireball.
Ooh.
Which removes
Nice.
any castle card. So I'm gonna choose this one.
So Dragon Fireball is one of the few cards that removes a castle on the player's turn.
And then I'll play a castle on your side. Go ahead.
Okay.
9-4. 1 castle card preventing a win right here. I can see it in your face. Bringing out the big guns.
Okay. It's your turn.
My turn.
Yep, I'm not going to play any cards. So again, 9 dragons. The castle card is now removed. So I have 9 dragons, 1 left to win. 4 cards on Jason's mat. No other cards in play. It's Jason's turn.
I'm gonna play a dragon.
Nice.
I'm gonna play a castle.
Now,
castle
so
card.
Jason's bottom stack is now at 5. So those dragons cannot be attacked.
Yep. And then I will pass to you.
Okay. Drawing 3 cards. All right. I am going to play Flaming Arrows. Opponents cannot play dragons this round.
Okay, I'm gonna do Secret Tale. If an opponent plays a defense card, take that card from opponent and put it in your hand.
Nice.
Do you have anything in response?
I do. Block any action from an instant card.
Son of a bitch. All right. Okay, so that's just a wash. Cool.
And now I'm going to play an
what was this?
attack card.
I can't play dragon cards. Okay.
Yep. And then, I'm sorry. No, that's not what I wanted to play. Now I'm going to play No, I'm good. It is your turn.
You just showing me your whole hand or what?
Yeah, I'm just trying to get you nervous.
All right. Well, it's
Putting the
working.
castle
It's
card away.
working. It's working.
So again, 9 dragons on my mat, 5 on Jason's.
Now 6.
You can't play dragons
Oh,
because Flaming Arrows is in play.
that's right. Okay, I'll play this.
Man, where are you getting all these castle cards from?
Sometimes, it makes sense to just hoard things, and it turns out it's working out pretty well for me right now. I think that's what you fucking said.
Man.
And then I will play Dragon Fury to remove your defense card.
Okay.
And then I will play my dragon. And then I will pass to you.
Okay. This castle goes away. I'm going to draw 3. I'm going to play Wind of Ice, which is block any opponent from placing a castle on my stack. And much. I have a total of 8 cards.
Mm-hmm. So you have to
and
go down
the
to 7.
max limit is 7. So I have to remove 1. So I am going to remove 1 card, and I'm down to 7, and I'm going to pass to Jason. 9 to 6.
All right, I'm going to draw. I'm going to do Arrows of Might, which is remove opponent's deck by 1 dragon.
Okay.
And then I'm going to play a dragon. All right. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to play an instant card, which is the Eye of Sorcery. If opponent adds a dragon to their stack, I can add a dragon to my stack. I'll just search the draw pile for a dragon card and place it onto my stack.
Okay. You know how to search on here? Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
You have to flip that bad boy.
All right. And then I'm going to shuffle. Whoops. Okay. This goes away too when device. I'm going to draw 3.
Ugh.
And I have won the game.
Perfect, man.
Now, what's really cool about it is if I didn't have that instant card, I would have not had the additional dragon I would have needed to win this hand, which is great because he only needs 2 to win. So,
yeah, and I
did you have dragons?
Literally drew 2 dragons.
Yep. So if it weren't for that instant I held on to, be over. So, there you have it. That's kind of where we're at right now. Good, pretty easy. Some things still to work out, but gameplay under the 25-minute mark for a full round.
That is correct.
So there you have it, folks. That is a sample of stacking.
Yeah, I think that's, I think like there's obviously like some more that needs to be done, but for the most part, that's it. We're probably gonna end the cast here just so that we have kind of like a shorter cast. We're still lining up people to be on the cast. I know we say it every week, but it's true. And I want to kind of to give back to the community of board games. I do want us to, and Chris and I talked about this, but we wanted to make a suggestion for a game to pick up, either on Amazon or Target or whatever, especially since we still have a lot of people hanging out in their houses. So Chris, what was your pick of the week?
That's a good question. I look for like interesting things to look at, like small board games. Look through Kickstarter, and we were talking about some before the cast started. But again, I'm not afraid to highlight some of the large ones, and I think probably one of the most well-known ones has been pretty interesting to play. Unfortunately, it's not probably the right concept during these interesting times in the world, but it doesn't take away from the fact that it is a really interesting strategic game to play, and that is Pandemic, which I think is available pretty much anywhere. There's so many different expansion packs out there, but if you haven't played that game, with multiple friends, it's pretty damn exciting. And the different types of expansion packs makes it super hard or super easy to learn. But definitely one that has been super successful over the past couple of years. One that if you haven't played, I would recommend playing it, especially anybody that's interested in board games. I think if you're watching this, you probably already played it or have heard of it. But for those of you who haven't picked that up, it's definitely something to take a look at, something outside of your traditional kind of card game. But super amazing concept and what I would recommend. And you could pick that up pretty much anywhere. But that is like a recommendation. I know it's kind of a simple one. But I think simple ones also get your mind marinated around like what you could do creative wise, and I think that speaks to a super creative approach to things.
Nice, yeah, that's one of my favorite games to play. I'm kind of going off a little bit. So those of you that maybe don't know or have kind of heard, we are working on an animation that is spinning off from Unicorns and Zombies. Called The Boring Adventures of Marvin Chubbs. And so this kind of goes along those lines, but this is an actual card game called Rick and Morty Total Recall. It is this. It looks like this, so if you want to pick it up. Really good fun game, man. I picked this up at a convention, actually. They were doing it, and you could play it. It basically takes like the game of memory, and just adds like a Rick and Morty twist to it. It's a very fun game. Not necessarily friendly for people of the younger age. It's not the worst I've seen, but it is a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun. I would very much suggest that you play it. Basically, you have to really remember where cards are, and then as a group, you have to decide if someone's bluffing or if the card that's left over is in fact what it says it is or what you think it is, and so every card has its own like type of thing that you can do to it as well. It's a really fun game, super quick. It's pretty cheap, and it's something that again we talked about is something where you can pick it up, see it, play it, and then everything makes sense. So that's my pick. Rick and Morty Total Recall.
Rick and Morty Total Recall.
Yeah.
Well, it was awesome. Awesome time to be able to walk you through some of the adjustments we've made over the past couple of weeks through game testing. Hopefully, those of you who are just listening, you got something out of it. But if you couldn't get everything, I would encourage you to watch the video on demand and follow that along. But we'll definitely be showing more of that as things get slowly baked. But we are moving along really fast, and over the next several weeks, hopefully being able to kind of finalize the addition that we want to start testing in our expanded network, and coming closer and closer to finalizing some of the artwork. So Jason's been grinding along, and you've seen over previous casts some of the artwork, and more to come. And I'm excited to be able to share that with you as we work together to finalize that as well. But again, as Jason said, we'll definitely have some more interviews, but definitely interesting times. We appreciate everyone who's listening, who's watching the stream, and follow along this interesting journey to get this game hopefully made and in the hands of hundreds of, if not thousands of people.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. We will catch you midweek, and until then, we'll talk to you later.